How do we capture video? I get this question a lot. It's so much easier now than it used to be. Basically, you can screen record on your computer, your iPhone, your iPad, and other devices as well, or you can use the screen capture app. I'm going to use Mac, as I mentioned, but there are similar procedures on other devices. So to capture video on a Mac, you just click on Command Shift 5 simultaneously. Some of you may know that you do Command Shift 4 to do a screenshot. Well, to do a video recording, you just use Command Shift 5. When you do that, a new toolbar appears, and you'll see that you can select the option of the entire screen or the selected portion. The red arrow points to the selection for your entire screen, and the blue arrow shows the selected portion. What's the difference? On the left shows the video that I want to show, but it also shows my entire screen. And that may not be something that I want to do. So in contrast, you can select just the portion that you want to record. When you select the portion, a dotted frame will come up, and you can drag the borders of that frame just to the section of your screen that you want to record, and that's all that will record. You then press the record button to start your video, and then you stop it by pressing the small button in the top menu bar. A video will appear as a floating thumbnail, and then it will be stored in the location that you designated on your computer. I tend to keep these on my desktop until I use them, and then I file them away in a file folder. So I'm going to show you an example of a video that I did a screen recording on using Command Shift 5. And what happened here is I had an entire routine, but I really didn't want to show the whole routine, and I didn't want to have to fumble through it by scrolling on the scroll bar to get to this particular skill. So I did Command Shift 5 and just showed that skill twice. The other thing you can do is capture video on your iPhone or iPad. There's lots of short tutorial videos showing you how to do this on YouTube. But basically what you do is you open the control center, and to do that, you swipe down from the top right corner, and this will appear. This is your video record button. You tap it to start. There'll be a 3-second countdown, and then it will begin to record what is ever on your device. You stop the recording by clicking on the red button that appears, and it will then be stored in your Photos app. Then you can drag and drop it into your video editing software, or you can put it directly into your PowerPoint. So now let's talk about editing video and some tricks to help make that video more effective in your presentation. You've probably been to sessions when you've seen things like it takes a long time to get to the spot in the video that the presenter wants, or they decide they want to show it again in slow motion, and they have to kind of move it with that scroll bar at the bottom, and sometimes it works, and sometimes they can't get it to stop exactly where they want it. But we're going to show you some tricks on how to make that more efficient and effective. So first of all, you can edit video in PowerPoint itself, and we will cover that in a few minutes. However, you really have more options if you use video editing software than just relying on PowerPoint. It all depends on what you want to do. But we're going to go over both. So if you're doing movie editing in a movie editing app, you have much more flexibility. For example, you can add titles or subtitles as an overlay. You can combine videos into one series if you want, so that you don't have to go from one clip to another. You can play slow motion. You can put a picture in a picture. You can do side by side. You can also do stop action very precisely, so that instead of having to use the scroll bar and try to catch that gymnast when she's exactly in vertical, you can actually, in a movie editing app, stop it right at vertical, and then you'll be able to show that to your audience. And to me, this is a really big one. You can play back the video in a frame by frame mode from your keyboard rather than using the scroll through mechanism in PowerPoint. And that's very helpful because you can start and stop it anywhere you want, even if you hadn't intended to do that in advance. So if somebody asks you a question and you hadn't prepared for that, but you would really like to show that particular aspect of the skill, you can actually use your keyboard to advance frame by frame. Yes, you can do that in PowerPoint by using the scroll bar, but often it doesn't stop exactly where you want it. So that's why I think movie editing is a much better alternative. We're going to focus on 4 techniques that you can use in iMovie. We'll talk about slow motion, side-by-side videos, stop action techniques, and picture-in-picture. We're going to start with slow motion. It's very easy to turn a video clip into slow motion. Simply drag the clip that you want to use to the My Media space, then drag it down to your workspace. I like to keep a copy of the original, so then I'll make a copy of that original by copying it and pasting it. And then you go up to the top where the little speed dial is, and when you click on that, a new drop-down menu will appear, and you click on slow. Then you'll see that you have options to play it at 10% speed, 25%, or 50%. I selected 25%. Now you have both videos. The first is in regular speed. The second is in slow motion. So something you'll notice there is that the sound, of course, becomes slow as well, and that gives you that wah, wah effect. So I like to turn off the sound in all of my video clips unless it's floor. To do that, you go to the sound button in the top menu, and then you can either click on the sound button and that will mute it automatically, or you can adjust the sound to be lower if you still would like to have it play in the background but not quite as loud. I wouldn't suggest that for slow motion videos, but that would make sense if you want to do that for some other type of video. Next, we're going to talk about the side-by-side option, and this is really helpful if you want to do a comparison of skills from one gymnast to the next. So with the side-by-side, I've done the same thing I just did. I've just added a second gymnast. So I have my first gymnast doing a front tuck in regular and then in slow motion, and I have this second gymnast. But I'd like to really compare those. So what I do is I'm going to make a copy of each of those videos in slow motion. That's because that's what I was preferring to use to demonstrate the point I want to make. It doesn't have to be in slow motion. You stack the 2 clips, and then you go up here to the top, and when you're stacked and you highlight the top video, a new pull-down menu will show up, and it will say split screen. Click on that, and now when you play your video, you have the split screen effect so that you can see both gymnasts side by side. That's all there is to that. One thing with side by side is that it's very effective, but it's hard for the audience to see both skills simultaneously. So to emphasize the point that I want to make, I'll often put a stop action in. So in this particular case, I wanted to demonstrate the different landing positions of each of the athletes. We're going to just copy each of those videos that we made previously. And I'm going to go to this location where the gymnast is in the landing position that I would like to demonstrate. Right click right in that video clip, and it adds a 4-second stop action. Then we'll do the same thing with this athlete. Add that freeze frame. Then we're going to move them on top of each other, stack them. Click on that top video. Now do your split screen. And when you play it, you should be able to see your stop action with a 4-second stop exactly where I wanted to show each of the gymnasts. And of course, you can do this with an individual clip, add a stop action. You don't have to have it side by side in order for that to work. There's one other option that might be helpful to you, and that's called picture-in-picture. And this is just like it is on your television, where you can have a picture-in-picture option. In this case, you might want to use a picture-in-picture because sometimes the video clips that you're using don't align properly so that you can see the section that you want when they are side by side. So you can control that somewhat by using picture-in-picture, and I'll show you how to do that. We're doing the same thing again. We have our videos stacked one on top of the other. And in this case, when you click on the top video, you just select picture-in-picture instead of the split screen. And you'll see that now that little square boxes come in with your video clip. And you can move that anywhere you want and make it as big or small as you want. And you just need to select the one that is the best for what you're trying to demonstrate. So here's how that looks. Another option might be to move it, in this case, right below. And now you'd see that the gymnasts are stacked one on top of another. So it's really up to you, whatever works best for the point that you're trying to make and the kind of video that you have. Okay, now you may have noticed that the one athlete, the video was much brighter than the other, and that happens with your videos sometimes. So this is just a quick technique to show how you can actually make that brighter. Click on the paint board there, and you can just play with these until you get it as bright or as dark as you want. And then basically you've reset it so that when you play it now, it should have a much better quality. So let's look at this gymnast. This is before we made the correction. And this is after the correction. It's still not perfectly sharp and clear, but it's better than it was when it was very dark. This concludes part 2 and 3 of this session. Part 4 can be found in the next video in the playlist, and it will focus on those PowerPoint annoyances and how you can avoid those. I hope you enjoyed this part. Thank you.